We also got this past week a ruling that came down about something that we actually talked about on this very podcast previously, which is the Paramount decrees, which to very to save everybody a lot of fucking time. Basically, it's a court ruling that they came out with back in I think the 1940s that basically made it so that studios couldn't also own theaters. And what they would call that is like basically having like a vertical system, or basically you have basically all of the aspects of filmmaking you basically have control of. So you have control of what movies you produce, when they get released, what theaters they get shown in, or what gets shown in those theaters. So and then you can do things like packaging, right? Like you can make it so that these theaters only show these specific set of movies, right? That you put out, so you can guarantee that these movies will get played in theaters, whether or not that anybody cares about them, whether or not that people want to see them, yada yada. And so they came out with the rulings back in the 1940s, and it had to do, I think it was specifically with a case with Paramount, but it actually applied to a lot of other studios at the time. I think RKO was still a thing back then, which I think got folded into MGM, but I can't remember exactly. But yeah, you had all these movie theaters or studios that basically they had to break up that monopoly that the studios had. And recently, because of everything that's going on, they revisited the that ruling, and basically we're just like, we're just going to do away with that, which makes clears the path for studios nowadays to now have ownership of theaters, which is, I don't know how I feel about it. I'll let you go first before I
So for anyone who didn't quite follow that, right? Let's just talk. Let's
I did a very poor job of explaining.
Let's just bring this back down to something we all loosely understand. It's like the drug sales business, right? So basically, what happened now is the Mexican cartel can now control production, logistics, and distribution, right? What that does is it allows you to control the price of the product in the marketplace, right? And you can kind of bottleneck or at least tighten up the bottleneck a little bit with your competition by adjusting your prices and delivery of the product, right? This is a bit of a game changer, right? As now, I think there's some now like the Amazons of the world, right? Mm-hmm. If I'm Amazon, as soon as this ruling got sent down, my next step is, all right, what movie theaters and how many can we acquire to start to put our Amazon original films in theaters, and how do we do so strategically? How do we package that up, right? Amazon is this massive machine that can quickly and very easily mobilize, and they have billions of dollars to do so, right? But at the same time, if you're Disney, if you're Netflix, if you're Marvel, right? What if Marvel bought a chain of movie theaters, and the only way you can see, for the first 2 weeks, if you wanted to see any upcoming new Marvel film or show, you had to go to the Marvel movie theater. Mm-hmm. That changes the game in a huge way. I don't know if I see anything wrong with this. I just know that. So where there's more competition, right? Competition among businesses, among corporations, usually benefits the consumer, right? Because it's like, all right, drive down prices, make our products more available, so on and so on. If it's just Wendy's and McDonald's, then we got to pay what they say we got to pay, right? But then if you have smaller local burger chains that get into the business, now we have options, prices go down. So either a studio being able to buy a chain or open up a chain of movie theaters is going to drive down prices and make content more accessible, or you have to go certain places to get certain content, or we as the consumers, we're just going to have to pay more because now it's going to be bigger packages. Now you have to buy the package instead of just that single product.
Yeah, I don't know, because I'm not convinced that, and they came out with this last week, and I think that they kind of like try to get the temperature in the room of like, okay, like, well, who's like chomping at the bit to perchance own a theater. nobody really, nobody's really like looking at it right now. And I think one of the reasons why is because there's actually like a lot of things to consider when you want to purchase a theater, right?
Yeah.
Like now you got to worry about staffing. Now you got to worry about leasing, the space. Now you got to worry about property taxes. Like, you know what I mean? Like all of these things that now become problems, especially when your pockets are tight, which everybody's like, even fucking Disney right now, right? Even their pockets are tight. They're looking at cutting, divisions and staff and yada yada, So I don't know if they're in the headspace to think about getting into the theater game, even though that in ordinary times, I think they would jump on this, like, oh fuck yeah, like, to do exactly like you said, like, okay, to see Avengers Endgame, you got to go to the Marvel's theater to watch Endgame, which is like, well, what else I'm gonna do? Like,
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I gotta go see it, so I'm gonna go there. And so, but weirdly enough, I don't think this is much different than like, because it's the same thing as like, okay, them talking about speeding up the window for movies being in theaters.
Yeah,
like you would think that this would be like, oh my god, this is a game changer. It's going to change everything immediately. And it's like, but when you really think about it, it's like, I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's a definite thing that it's going to like radically change the whole dynamic of things immediately, because I don't know if this is going to, like, even if you did put something out in theaters and you can only see, unless it's like a really big ticket thing like Avengers Endgame, I don't know. I'm still going to make whatever decision I was going to make beforehand. Like, meaning that if I was like, I can wait till that comes out on demand, and I'm probably going to wait till it comes out on demand. Like, just because it's at a Marvel theater doesn't mean that, unless the Marvel theater is like 20 miles away, and then it's like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to go see that shit. Like,
I think one of the big things that could happen here is like how it's going to change with like TV shows or series, right? Like, let's say you're watching an Amazon series, right? Mm-hmm. And instead of Amazon just having the series or the season finale, on your at home, what if you can go to the theaters and watch it on the big screen, the series or the season finale,
like Game of Thrones? Like, what if HBO like owned a theater and you could go watch the,
like, what if Netflix bought a few movie theaters and, like, the new season of Ozarks, right? Episode 1, you can go to the theaters to see it. You just pay like $9.99 extra or something like that. Would I do that? Maybe, if I could go see it with all my friends on the big screen.
So I think that you speak very, this is kind of what my thought was that that's who could benefit from it the most. Netflix has pretty much got the game locked down as far as like streaming goes, right? Like, and what's crazy is that they've moved away from getting other people's shit, and they've shifted to more having their own shit. And I think maybe what's missing from their sort of repertoire is making something an event, right? Like, they have a lot of these, they have such great content. But what tends to happen is like, and they're also pretty bad at like marketing, right? Like, they maybe put out like one trailer for something, and then like that's like 2 weeks before the thing comes out, and it's like
they just put up the big graphic when you log into your Netflix, coming soon,
and you have to like log into Netflix to see that, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't, it's not like on the fucking front page of like whatever, right? Like, so I think they're not very good at marketing, or at least they haven't invested that much in marketing, at least to the degree of like other studios and things like that. And they don't make something like because it's streaming and you can watch it at any time. It's not an event, right? It's not 8 p.m. Saturday, we gotta be there, right? Like, it's just okay, I'll see when I see it, I'll watch it next week sometime. Like, it's you can watch, clearly whenever the fuck you want. But I think if they create some sort of urgency with especially some of their bigger ticket things, like, so for instance, what if they came out with like that you could either stream it or go watch it at the theaters, if they had the movie that we're actually going to be talking about in our press play, Project Power, if they had that run in the theaters, and they have like the Netflix theaters, and they're like, okay, like, this is, for a month, this is going to be showing at our Netflix theater.
Yeah.
I might want
and
to
maybe like
that.
Maybe like the director's cut, or like bonus footage, or the alternate ending.
You would have to, I think, absolutely, you'd have to throw some things in there that's like, all right, this is something to jazz it up for you.
Yeah.
But like you couldn't just be like, oh yeah, it's just the same exact thing that you could watch at home. You're gonna watch it.
Yeah,
You gotta give me
they
something.
just give you like that one extra thing that makes it sweetens the pot just a little bit.
And you know what they don't necessarily do, which maybe they do for some of their stuff, is maybe more so for their shows. They have like, oh, this is like additional like, behind the scenes stuff or whatever. But what if for like movies, they have that as like an added on thing of like, hey, here's like 5 minutes extra of extra footage that you wouldn't have been able to see streaming, so whatever.
I think like every studio, if some of the streaming networks try to get into it, could activate it a little bit differently, right? Netflix could now give you the experiential element that they're missing, right? Being able to go to the movie theaters to see your show. Amazon could just package it up a little bit more. Like you're already an Amazon shopper, you have Amazon Prime, you can go to the theaters. Shit, that hoodie that you ordered, oh, you're gonna be at the movies Friday night. We'll deliver it there. You get cold when you're in the theaters, right? You get a little bit chilly sometimes. We'll have your package at the front desk. Don't even worry about it. Like they can all do different things.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see who's the first like major studio or streaming company to like put their foot
like
in
really
the water.
Innovative with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Amazon because they
got the capital.
They've got the
They're
deep
rolling
pockets.
in it. Yeah. Like Drake said. Yeah, but wouldn't it be fucked up if your hoodie got delivered to the theater and then like you see somebody else wearing it and you're like, hold on, did you get my package? Like,
oh yes, if they gave your shit to somebody else and they're like, sorry, you're gonna have to email Amazon like my package didn't get delivered.
You're
like,
watching
it did get delivered. You're wearing my shit. Nigga like, I'm cold. What you want me to do? A movie's about to start. Shh. Then you gotta argue with them after the movie, like, but the whole time you're in there like,
it's cold.
Cold as a bitch. The movie was great, but I'm cold.
Can't even drink your drink because it's so cold. All right.